Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and sorry for the late dial in. It's my fault because I had technical issues, so I'm going to be all the quicker so we can dive into the topics. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Cécile Garcia, and I advise impact startups in their business development as well as internationalization. Now, this event today is brought to you by various partners. First of all, European Champions Alliance, ECA. ECA was founded about 2 years ago with the goal to enable the European transition towards a more environmentally friendly and sustainable economy, thus by actually supporting young innovative companies. So it's organized around various groups, various focus groups, amongst which the GreenTech practice, which I also happen to lead. And earlier when we launched this group, we were trying to think how can we best actually support this transition at our level. And that's why we came up with this series that we're bringing to you today. The goal of today's series is, well, threefold actually. First of all, to create more transparency within the European GreenTech landscape. We noticed that it was very fragmented. We speak about various ecosystems, and it's important to understand what problems are being tackled and how they're being tackled, what solutions already exist. Sometimes some companies, I don't know, in the Bretagne are already working on solutions, and in Bavaria as well, and makes sense to connect. That's the one objective of today. The other one is also to be able to support the acceleration of these existing solutions by giving visibility and promoting the work that's already being done. Last but not least, always also connecting each other. So as I was mentioning, some companies could potentially via this webinar partner with other startups and bring together complementary solutions out there, or partnering with commercial partners, that's partner, or even meeting potential investment partners. So also, please don't see this series and this webinar as only informative. Please do ask your questions. We'll try and go through as many as possible. But in the event that we shouldn't be able to answer all of them, please don't hesitate to connect. I think I can speak for all the panelists here today, as well as myself. We're more than happy to connect after the event. I think LinkedIn is very, very appropriate for this. And let's bring the European GreenTech landscape just further together. So in that sense, we're also thrilled to announce today that we're going to be partnering with, actually it's starting now, Impact Festival. And it's really, I'm very happy for this for various reasons. It was amazing last year, and it's in Frankfurt where I'm based. And so I'll leave over to Mara to tell you 2-3 words about Impact Festival, and especially why you should definitely get a ticket for this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Cécile, for the great intro of this whole webinar series. We as the Impact Festival team are very excited to host this webinar series together with the European Champions Alliance, and I look very much forward to the speakers of today's webinar. Before we start, I'd like to say a few more words about the Impact Festival, because some of you may have not heard of it. The aim of the Impact team is to accelerate the green transformation by connecting innovators, so green startups, with corporates and investors. That way, solutions can be implemented in businesses and make a direct impact, or be scaled up through monetary inflow. So the Impact Festival is Europe's largest B2B event and platform for sustainable innovation technologies. And the festival is taking place once a year, usually in fall. But we have an ongoing program all year round, such as our magazine, the Slack community, the Impact Challenge, and much more. So we're a very vibrant community that connects all relevant actors in the field of sustainability. And yeah, we have a large exhibition on site with around 170 startups with various stages, with speakers such as Hans Schellenhuber or Maya Göpel. And we focus on 7 different innovation areas that are determined by the SDGs and the EU GreenDeal. And with them, we focus on various branches and try to bring together the bigger picture of sustainable transformation together and connect all relevant actors of the field. So yeah, I'd like to invite you all to be part of the festival this year. And if you'd like to get involved as a partner or a green startup, check out our homepage. Our application's open for startups at the moment, and we have our contact details there if you'd like to get involved in a different way. And I'm excited to get started with the webinar now.
Thank you so much, Mara. And I see that the link is also being shared in the chat. So that's amazing, connecting straight away. Now, today with us, we have also further amazing partners. We have Maya from Bracenet, who's joining us. We have Xenia from Flastix. We have Tim from Mantahari. And as well with us, we have Guillaume, who will be joining us in a second from UChange. Maybe I'll let Guillaume introduce himself in about a minute, because we were very lucky to partner with Guillaume's company, UChange. Guillaume has an amazing tool, Motherbase, and with whom we analyzed the European GreenTech landscape last year. Now, I think we're having a bit of technical issues to bring Guillaume in as a speaker. So maybe I'll just start with what we did last year, and as soon as Guillaume can come in, he can present the tool Motherbase. But basically, what we did last year around, when we started to go through the European landscape and try and have a better picture of what's here, we worked with the tool Motherbase, which will be shared later on, and analyzed over 3,000 companies as of now, European-wide. And we started seeing some very interesting clusters building. Now, at this point, I just wanted to ask, Ewald, can you maybe just share the presentation? That would be great. And I do hope that Guillaume will make it in a second. But so, as you can see, when we went through the European GreenTech landscape, if you go on one slide further, please. Ewald, can you? Thanks. So we identified over 3,000 startups Europe-wide. This is an ongoing analysis. So we obviously will continue and are happy for any flagged startups who should be in the database, so we can continue working on them. We asked ourselves, how can we try and categorize them? Because a lot are working on different topics, and how do you want to do a deep dive if you don't really know what topics everyone is working on? And we started to notice some pretty interesting things. And for the mathematicians amongst you, the figures don't add up, because some companies can give different specializations, before you're wondering. But basically, what we noticed, that there was a lot of companies working on, so for economy and circular economy, biodiversity, energy, and there was a lot of solutions out there being worked on. And what we found even more interesting, if you go one slide further, is that you also can see some clusters building and emerging throughout Europe. So as you can see, for instance, food tech, ag tech is very present, much more in France than in other countries, for instance, also in the Netherlands. As one can also expect, topics such as mobility have been tackled very early on, and clusters are shaping more, let's say, in Germany, for instance. And of course, one could have maybe thought of this from the past and from the history, but it's very interesting to notice, thanks to Guillaume's database, what we can also all see here. Moving forward, what we also can see is, so some clusters building. What we tried to see is, for instance, what are the big topics that are being worked on? So we have, for instance, as you can see, clusters coming out, renewable energy, sustainability, circular economy. And when we started going through these, we all tried to categorize within these, what's in the EU GreenDeal, such as mobility, food system, and started saying, well, let's dive a little deeper in these categories. So what we saw, actually, if you go to the next slide, which is actually the topic also of today, we went through one category, which is pollution. And then we saw we have 305 startups as of today focusing on pollution. And you also can see some clusters emerging, this analysis that we can refine thanks to the Motherbase tool of Guillaume. And as unfortunately, we still can't have Guillaume on this call, I really can only advise to connect with Guillaume later on, or maybe hopefully in the next webinar we can showcase a bit more the tool, so that you can really see how we work with this tool, because the analysis we get is absolutely incredible. And we saw some topics, so of course carbon accounting, carbon removal, etc., but some other topics which were the pollution of soil, air and water, how this is being tackled, which brings us to the topic of today. So we have in the databases of today 78 startups tackling water pollution. And as we do know, well, one of the main polluters of water in the oceans is plastic. Plastic does remain also at the heart of many conferences linked with water. We saw earlier this year the One Ocean Summit in France. We also had earlier this year the UN Environment Assembly in Nairobi, or earlier this week, even when one spoke about World Water Day, there was a lot also going on plastic and plastic pollution and reducing this. And today, I don't want to lose myself in figures. I think everyone has present in mind the horrendous task that we have in front of us, the heartbreaking pictures of the impact of plastic pollution, on the impact on wildlife, of course, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, all these things. We do know there's a problem. There are a lot of problems. We do know also that we have to act, and we have to act now. I think one of the complexities of the problem lies within the fact that we still need plastic as of today because it's part of our daily lives. We don't really have an alternative yet. Think of hospitals, buildings, etc. So whilst a lot of companies are focusing on trying to find alternative materials, which is good and which we need also in parallel need to work on at various levels, obviously reduce our consumption. But of course, and this came out of our analysis, 3 big areas which are being worked on within the European GreenTech landscape is, first of all, avoiding that plastics lands in the oceans and water in the first place. Secondly, collect the plastic that is unfortunately already present in the water and the oceans. And last but not least, recycle that plastic so we move slowly but surely, or maybe not slowly, but as quick as possible, towards a more circular economy. And that being said, we gathered an amazing panel, as briefly introduced earlier on. And I think at this time, it would be really great to welcome Xenia once again, who will show us and introduce us a bit more to Flastix and how they contribute to reducing plastic pollution in the ocean.
Hi, thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. Eva, could you please share the presentation? Yes, we start with this. So yeah, hi, I'm Xenia, I'm from Flastix. I'm very happy to be here, so thank you very much. I'm just a stand-in, so I hope I got the most important points across well. And yeah, let's start. The idea for Flastix came actually up when Malte, our CEO and founder, saw the plastic polluted beaches during a visiting in Monaco. And he asked himself, how can we avoid plastic in first place? So he also noticed that there are seals in many areas. We have seals for organic, for fair trade, for vegan, but none for plastic free. So he started and created together with 50 stakeholders from the government, NGOs, business representatives, the first definition of plastic free. And 48 of 50 stakeholders also agreed on this definition of plastic free. The thing is, this was a really long and difficult process. It took 4 years because especially the plastic lobby was not happy at all about it. And also the NGOs were skeptical at the first. But in the meantime, Flastix is yeah, recognized globally. It's recommended by the EU, by the German government, by the Consumer Protection in Germany, and also listed on Siegelklarheit, what's a well-known website for reliable seals. Yeah, so how does this start? Together with RAL and later with the Zertco TÜV Rheinland, Malte developed the first and so far the only independent certification program for plastic-free products and packaging. Independent means that the products and packaging is first tested in an accredited and specialized laboratory, then receive a conformity assessment by the Zertco engineers. In the third place, it gets a license. So if you're interested in the ISO standards and testing procedures and everything, you just can write me an email afterwards and I can send you the documents. But yeah, you see, there's a lot of work in the first place to do that. Yeah. The first seal we created were the plastic-free total product. Eva, could you please get on the second slide, I think? Yeah, so you see the first one. It's the turquoise one. It was the first one. It's for product and packaging. And the thing is, really quickly, it became clear that it's really, really hardly to get this seal because almost no product is completely with the product and the packaging plastic free. So we developed more seals for this. We had to specify. So we have now three different seals for also the product, the packaging, and the microplastic. Yeah, product without microplastic. You can see, yes, the blue one, the green one, and the dark blue navy one. Because, for example, if you have electronics, you cannot make electronics without plastic, but you can put it in a plastic-free packaging. And otherwise, you have products like coffee cups, for example. They had to be transported in a hygienical packaging, so they need also plastic, but the product itself can be plastic-free. Yeah, so after we developed this 4 different plastic-free signs, we also step by step been developing more signs to get Flastix into our circular economy seal. And now we also certify products with recyclable or recycled content. Because for a circular economy, for a functioning circular economy, it is very necessary not just to avoid plastic, but also to recycle the existing material. That's super important. And this starts with the product design. So to be plastic-free or recyclable goes up to disposal and then to recycling itself. And one big thing is also we appreciate also small steps because, for example, if you know the Blue Angel, Blauer Engel, it's a German seal, it's the most known German seal. They're certifying PCR, post-consumer recyclates, but only from 80%. So what about the companies who do 60% or 30%? So we prefer even small steps towards sustainability than none of all. Yeah. And also right now, we're really pleased to see the movement in the legislation because, the SUPD is not perfect at all. It had many, many inconsistencies, but we see since the SUPD came into force, we had a real innovation boom in the area of plastic-free and recyclable-to-go products. And also we see there's something moving in the economy. And as you can see here, a lot of great new startups dealing with sustainability day by day. But it needs more legislation. That's why also Flastix does a lot of work in the public affairs. We are in constant exchange with the European Commission and the German government, because we need also this legislation work to do, because there's much still what we can do for the environment. So yeah, that's for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xenia. And I think everybody here is very keen also on connecting with you. So maybe you can put your email in the chat. I've already seen one question there. And thank you so much for that introduction on Flastix, as well as how you guys are helping avoid plastics or supporting a more consumer conscious in this direction. Next, as we had shown on the graphic, what we also definitely have to be working on, given the amount of plastic which is already in the oceans. We'd really like Maya to speak more about BraceNet. They have a fantastic initiative, which I'm a huge fan of. And Maya, lovely to have you here as well.
Hello, and thank you. I will quickly share my screen. So my name is Maya, and I am the CEO of BraceNet, and I'm happy to tell you more about BraceNet. So you've probably all heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I think this year was mentioned earlier, and it's the biggest accumulation of trash which we have worldwide in the ocean. It's located between Hawaii and California, and it's 3 times the size of France, so it's huge. But what nobody knows about this garbage patch is that it consists to 46% of ghost nets. What are ghost nets? Ghost nets are old fishing nets which got lost, and they keep on fishing. That's why they call it ghost fishing, but without a purpose. So they still harm marine animals, as you can see on the picture there. And what also nobody knows is that up to 1 million tons of ghost nets enter our oceans every year. 1 million tons, it's a number which we cannot imagine. And maybe you're wondering why, how does it happen? So there are several reasons. One of them is that it just happens when they have high tide or there are storms like a tsunami, that the fishing nets just get overboard. Another reason is, also a big reason is illegal fishing, because first of all, the fishing net is the proof for the illegal fishing operations, and it's also just cheaper to get rid of the fishing net in the ocean than to probably dispose it. And one last reason is that a lot of fishing boats have no proper cleaning systems on board. That's why small fishing nets, parts of small fishing nets get lost and end up in the ocean. And and we want to stop this, and that's why we recover and clean those nets and upcycle them. How do we do this? So we turn them into products from the sea and for the oceans. As you can see, this was our first product. It's the BraceNet, and made out of, if you see my small screen here, made out of these nets. And to tell you more about how we do it, it's maybe important to know how it all began, because it started in 2015 when our founders, Benjamin and Madeleine, they were on holiday and they were snorkeling and diving, and they saw these ghost nets for the first time in their life, and they realized, okay, this is not okay here. It's danger. There are birds entangling in these nets and fish. So they started to collect all of these nets, and that's how the idea of BraceNet was born, because the photo you see there, it's the very first BraceNet in 2015 of one of the nets they just found. And they collected all the nets and came back to Germany, and then they realized, okay, the problem is too big for us alone. When we sit on the kitchen table, it's maybe cute, and if we do upcycling products, but it's not enough. So they started their research and found healthy seas and ghost diving, two marine organizations, which were already fighting against the problem, and which are our partners till today. So what happens is usually the nets are used for fishing. That's what they are designed for. Then they often get lost, and then they do this ghost fishing. And then our partners comes into play, like ghost diving, who has around 250 divers worldwide, which or who are recovering those ghost nets on the weekends on dangerous missions. Then after recovering, those nets come to our third partner, which is Snowfields, a Norwegian company, where the nets get sorted and cleaned. And then we receive the nets which are suitable for upcycling here in Hamburg. And yeah, we do upcycling with them and with our own team. It's all handmade and under the fairest local condition as possible, into not only brace nets, but only many other products. So far, we already upcycled more than 7 tons into keychains, rings, bags, dog leashes, everything you can think of. And what's really important for us is that you really see the material. You see it was a fishing net. What's maybe also the difference, because we do upcycling and not classical recycling, because you really have a connection to the material, which sometimes is maybe not the case if you have a sneaker of plastic bottles where you just cannot imagine, okay, this was a plastic bottle before, but here you really see it. So it is a conversation starter, because people are talking about, okay, you have a bracelet made out of fishing net, okay, tell me more about it. And so it's a product which raises awareness about the problem just by it looks. Yeah. What we do also since day one is that we donate a part of our proceeds to our partners, mainly to Healthy Seas, because we want to enable more recovery missions, because one recovery mission is quite expensive. So so far we donated more than 180,000 to our partners, but we realized, okay, Healthy Seas is a great initiative, but there are many more out there which we'd like to support as well. So we have different donation campaigns for amazing organizations who protect our marine ecosystems. Like, for example, these are only a few, Shark Allies or Ocean Voyage Institute. Because we truly believe in collaboration. That's why I'm also here today, because the impact is much, much bigger if we do it all together and just not everybody on their own. And that's why we're also working not only with NGOs, but also with different companies together to make a change, and also with companies who are not as far on their sustainable journey as maybe other companies are, but we think every process needs a journey, and at least they start somewhere, and we want to support them on their journey. And yeah, that's why we're also here. If you have any questions, you can ask them maybe later, or also contact me on LinkedIn, or I will give my mail address here later.
Thank you very much, Maya, and very, very personal story and connection as well, which I think Tim will also show us. I actually was allowed to see a presentation of Tim where I could feel this personal connect he has, and I think I'm very grateful for him to be today and share that with us.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm glad that I'm allowed to be here. Thanks, Cecile. I will try to share my screen, and you can let me know if that works well. So, can you see the PowerPoint slides? Can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we
cool.
can.
Yes. All right. So, my name is Tim. I studied economics and marketing and did a semester abroad in Malaysia, which made me diving. So I could be one of these ghost nets divers for sure. I'm a certified dive master, and I turned into a big ocean nerd. So everything what is underwater is a big passion for me. And yeah, so what Mantahari is, we will have a look into in a few minutes. And why Mantahari just started is very easy to show with this picture. A friend of mine took it on a dive when I was part of it. That shows a manta ray, which is one of my favorite species. In front of Nusa Penida, a small island in Indonesia, with a lot of plastic. And that was just, the point where I wanted to get active, because I fell in love with the species of manta rays because of various reasons. And suddenly the plastic problem was just straight in my face when you're witnessing this kind of situation underwater. So, I mean, the problem, we don't really have to talk through it, is that a lot of plastic is entering the ocean. And why this is a topic that went very personal to me are manta rays. I don't know if you're you know a lot about the species, but reef manta rays have up to 5.5 meters wingspan. Oceanic manta rays go up to 7.5 meters. They're very smart animals. They have the largest brain to body ratio in all fishes, and they reproduce very slow. And the problem with plastic now is that, as you can see on the picture above, they are filter feeders. That means they are channeling tons of water through their mouth every day. And there comes the problem with the plastic. This is just like a German graphic, but I think everyone who is here knows a little bit about plastic and microplastic, and that plastic basically never disappears completely. And that, primary microplastics is a problem, but secondary microplastic, they come from ghost nets as well a lot. So they appear when like bigger parts of plastic get smaller and smaller. And when you have a look at this picture again, then you just can imagine that all these bigger parts of household plastic will be microplastic soon. And that was the problem, like the moment when I thought, okay, I want to get active, I want to do something. What my part of the solution is now. So I think, like, for me, it's not so much the tech strategy or any patents or something that I'm good in, but more like the mindset, because I was just like coming back from my semester abroad and said, like, okay, I've seen this scenes underwater and I just want to do anything. I cannot go back to Germany, far away from the ocean, and just do nothing about it. And then, I started to just look into what can I do. I was a professional beach volleyball player before, and I always was wearing base caps. And my peer group and a lot of people that are in contact with like my circle of friends, everyone wears base caps. And then I thought, okay, this might be a product that is easy to sell, and one size fits all is good for online shops, and they're very small to store. So I started with them, and basically built the Mantahari project on two pillars. One is raising awareness for the topic, because I live in Munich, and I can understand very well that microplastics in the ocean and manta rays is not the priority number one for people who live in Munich, even though everyone who is using plastic has kind of like an impact on the global all. And the second part are donations. So to give money to an organization that I got to know very well when I was doing my dive mastership in Indonesia. And how does all this work? So the awareness part is, as I said, I'm trying to reach people with a project who normally would not have any contact to this topic, because I think that's something that everyone should know about and everyone has an influence for. And so I would say half of the project is just to get people thinking and to show a few sometimes not very nice truths about how the state of the ocean is right now. And the other one is donating. So what I'm doing is I'm producing sustainable clothing so the start was base caps or beanies, like I'm wearing one now, made from recycled PET bottles, and donating 50% of the winning margin to the Marine Megafauna Foundation. That's the NGO that I really appreciated. They're doing amazing work. I founded 2018. The first year was very slow, and since then, $40,000 US went straight to Indonesia. And I don't know, everyone who has been to Indonesia or similar countries knows that that is a lot of money that can pay a lot of salaries for a while. And for me, it's very important that the NGO that we're working with is like a first-hand contact. It's a very small team, and that's very motivating for me, because I know even if a month is like low selling and I can just send 500 euros, then yeah, I know that this money is at exactly the right spot. And yeah, that's why I prefer to do my own thing or work with small NGOs instead of like donating to bigger companies. Where I see my role, as I said, like I'm not the one who is doing patents or is an amazing tech geek for new materials or something, but it's more about the mindset. And yeah, that's something that goes along well with the whole project, is that every single one of you can get active. And the hashtag that I use for the project is Your Impact Matters. And that's basically yeah, the heart of the project, because everyone, whoever it is, has the possibility to get active. I mean, I was an economics student that plays some decent beach volleyball, and that was for then enough like to just get active, start something, and now has kind of like an okay influence on an NGO in Indonesia, since we are paying now some salaries, we're financing some internships programs, and one of the interns that we paid, like the internships that we offered, is now even the project lead of Mentrace in Indonesia, and we're still paying her salary, like an Indonesian girl. And that's something that makes me really proud, and that what I think is just a good feeling when you're in this kind of businesses, that you kind of know that you're doing the right thing or you're on the right path. And yeah, for now, so there are 3 ways to work with Matahari. So there's the fashion brand, where everyone can do co-brandings and create products with us, sustainable. Then I founded a charity, so we can do some donation projects and do some donation receipts. And from some companies, like I am yeah, used as brand ambassador, especially like in the diving industry, because I'm underwater photographer as well. And then it's just, yeah, nice to bring the sustainable message out there. And for me, so to work with Matahari is basically like the easy solution. I mean, just someone who is buying a cap is donating 10 euro to Indonesia, which is very passive, yeah, in the circle. So everything working with Matahari is we are doing the work to get all this sustainable. So that's always highly appreciated. But even if I'm talking to some of you, or if I'm having a talk in a school or a company, then yeah, I'm always very happy if people are just thinking about it, trying to make their products a little bit more sustainable, donate here and there, or if it's just like walking in the next supermarket the next day and being more aware of how much plastic there is that you don't really use. And once one of these thoughts are starting, I'm already happy. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm here to tell you a little bit more about my mindset. Yeah, that's it for now. Same like the others, feel free to get in touch, and I'm always happy about like any inquiries or just questions or people who want to get involved in this kind of projects.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tim. And it's energizing, honestly, after hearing the 3 of you speak. One just wants to, you know, get things done. And I hope the audience as well, because this is also one of the reasons why we're having this webinar. It's just showcasing what already exists and how one can just support not only in awareness, but also in growing these solutions bigger. Now, just before we go to the Q&A, we have Guillaume who could join us. And I think it would be great, just to complete the introduction we had, if Guillaume could just introduce us from UChange, the Motherbase mapping tool. We already had some questions separately. So Guillaume, lovely to have you here with us. Sorry that the technicals didn't work earlier on, and we would love you to just present Motherbase and all the work, the hard work that we've been working on to even bring this webinar today.
It's hard but fascinating, honestly. And everybody, hi. I'm super happy to be here, and thanks for your presentations, because your topics are much more important than our question of databases, of course. But yeah, I will share with you very quickly a few information, because that's quite original, and we've been working hard on that topic these last months. Just a few words about Motherbase. First of all, That's super original because Motherbase is dedicated to screening social networks. I mean, we screen all social network conversation, especially on Twitter, between what we call catalysts and startups. So what do we call a catalyst? It's an incubator, an accelerator, a big corporation, a public organization, a media, an event dedicated to innovation. As soon as we follow a social media conversation, we are able to identify new players thanks to their accounts we didn't know till that moment. At the moment when we identify a new player, behind its account on Twitter, for instance, we can find its website, its value proposition. We gather that value proposition, its pitch. The pitch is analyzed by our algorithms in order to define if it is a startup or not, if it is a clean tech or a smart city or a fintech or whatever, and then which kind of technologies are used by that company. At the end, we can publish a huge database in which we have today 120,000 entities, startups, SMBs, events, etc. And on the other hand, 2,000 big corporations we are focused on. And then thanks to that, we can publish kind of, I would say, yes, live analysis by industry, by kind of companies. And this is thanks to that use of Motherbase, we were able to publish this social graph you've seen on the presentation. And on the other hand, a big database you can search very easily and very quickly. For instance, in 1 second, if I can share my screen. Oops. Don't know if it will work. Yes, it might. Don't know if you see my screen right now.
I can share my screen, Guillaume, if it's okay.
Well, it doesn't mind. Okay, but you for instance, on the search engine on Motherbase, you can just prompt plastic and ocean, and you will have more than 50 results coming from startups, and you can have a direct access of each of them in order to identify where do they come from, what is their exact value proposition, and then see, as we can get back to each of you startups on every month, we can see the evolution in terms of size, in terms of conversation with big corporation, etc., etc. So just in a nutshell, Motherbase is a super powerful platform in order to identify all business conversations between big organizations and startups and evaluate the evolution of this conversation month by month. Okay, that's been quite long, sorry about that, but I'd be glad to tell you more about Motherbase if you need to. Thank you, Cecilia.
So I think, we're moving on to the panel discussion, or to the discussion now in general. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat, or I think there's also a separate question box you can write them in. And you can ask our speakers any questions you'd like. We've prepared a few questions, and I would like to start with sort of the challenges of impact measurement, because impact measurement is such a complex topic with regards to finding the right metrics or like finding the right indicators to monitor your impact, and it remains tough to isolate like cause and effect. And a lot of impact measurements do not go beyond CO2, even though impact is so much more, as we just saw in those speeches. So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on it? How do you measure impact in your companies? Do you have any recommendations to other green startups in regard to the impact measurement? Feel free, whoever wants to jump in first.
I can. So first of all, I think it's important for all businesses, kind of, and also for maybe even for each individual to measure your social, but also your ecological footprint. But to be honest, we at Bracenet, we measure our impact because we see, like, every day at the end of the day, we see how many nets we just upcycled, and we also like get reports from our diving teams how many nets they got out. That's how we measure our impact. So we have no high technical other measurements systems there, because which is maybe important to say, it's really time consuming and costly. So I think for startups it's okay if they don't do it, but for big businesses it's a different story, because they have the power, and their core is not sustainability as it is, for example, for me or for Tim, but they have a different core, so it's a different story for big businesses, but not for the small startups, because a lot of them cannot do it because it's so costly and so time consuming.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on this. So I'm doing everything with Matahari so far by myself, and if I have the chance to make a new campaign or create a new product or just try to get more money to Indonesia or get any seal or batch, then I don't have to think twice what I'm doing. So for now, it's like, so it's nice for marketing that you can say this and that, but I think this is more for bigger companies, and I think that small companies have the authenticity anyways, or at least I hope so. And when it comes to measurements, it's basically the same for me. Like for me, it's the best measurement to know I sold this and that products in this month, so I can send amount X to Indonesia, and then I get like the information what they do with it, and that's for me and my customers, because I'm fairly transparent, and I'm talking on social media about it, and having a blog on my homepage about what happens with the money and what's the team in Indonesia doing. And for now, that's the way to go. But as soon as I'm bigger or the company grows, then I think everything official is good to have.
Yeah, so there's not a lot to add, because they're totally right, Maya and Tim. For us, we do not produce anything, or we do not transport anything, but we could in the next years, when we get also the money and also the stability, we could count the recycled tons of the products we certified, and there we could add it and say how much CO2 it would be less in the air and the pollution. But right now we cannot do this, because we also just for people right now, and also don't have the money for this. So that's totally on the big players and not on the little sustainability startups, I think.
Yeah, it's a very complex issue, right? Like on one hand, you want to show your impact and make it visible to everyone around, and also show numbers. But then on the other hand, like you're always struggling with time and resources and everything. So it's a big challenge. Merlin.
Sorry, Byron. But yeah. I think especially that like no one should be shy of communicating what they're actually doing. And I think like for me, the biggest measurement is adoptions of manta rays. That's nothing, that's nothing official. But if I say, okay, like we adopted now more than 150 manta rays, then and I communicate what is the money that we are kind of paying for one adoption, then that's already like a seal, But just like for this small company, and maybe even with more, I don't know, like with more authenticity than like an official seal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great. Thanks for the add-on. Merlin wrote a question in the chat. He's asking, how important do individual speakers today see networking and collaboration that is green and in a sense on the general topic, but connecting absolutely different companies? Like, for example, an air quality monitoring company getting in touch with an ocean preservation company, etc. Any of you has a answer to that?
Yeah, I can start. So I think it's absolutely crucial to have this collaborations, especially in like in green tech or in this like-minded companies. So as Maya said already, I think like this topic, everyone is kind of like trying to do the same thing, like to get people more active, get people more involved, and to solve sustainable problems, or even just being a small part of the solution. So yeah, like I'm sometimes even doing collaborations that are not monetary beneficial for the company, but where I just like to support that company, that they have the chance to have recycled merch, or just trying to get them a little bit on the right lane, or in a direction that encourages them to be active in this kind of content.
Yeah, I think there's nothing to add. I totally agree. So with BraceNet, we partnered up with companies who have, on the first side, nothing to do with ocean protection. Yeah, I think, as I said in my presentation, it's important to partner up with a broad community, because if we all get together on one table and fight for a better future, that's how we get the most impact.
Thank you, Maya. And Xenia, I'd be interested also to hear maybe from you, because working on the label, and you probably encounter also other companies coming up with maybe alternative materials. Is that maybe for you a topic of partnering with other startups? So, you know, maybe in this joint effort perspective, to be, you know, the bigger the better, and creating more impact together?
Yeah, the thing is, they're coming up more and more new alternatives, especially in the area of bioplastics, but till now there is not one that works for us. Yeah, there are a lot of new good ideas, and we try to connect with these people, and also try to have our input, and also in the science field. But right now we really focus on the developing of our business, and networking is very important, of course, but we are not that perfectly stable right now, so we can go on a lot of of this sorry, of this networking parties and things. But yeah, we try.
But thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Guillaume.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've been in contact with several car equipment manufacturers that are all looking for new materials, and particularly to avoid using usual plastics, I would say. So I'm sure that there are fantastic prospects for you. And I have also to say that I suppose that most of you have seen the movie Don't Look Up on and I would say that all of you do look up, and I'm absolutely fascinating about what you're doing. And I do notice that most of big corporations really they don't look up. And what we have to imagine together is to change that, to shift, and to help you to be in contact with all of these big corporations in order for them to start looking up, because it's the key issue for tomorrow. And so contact with the big corporation in the car manufacturing should be interesting. Maybe I will share some contacts with you, Cecile, or in order to help you get in touch with them.
And that would be amazing. And I mean, unfortunately, in the interest of time, we have to think maybe of famous last words, I think. And I think exactly what you were saying, Guillaume, that goes in that direction. What Tim was also saying, not to be shy of what you have already achieved, but also communicate what you need and how we can support, you know, you accelerate your growth and impact, more importantly. So I did hear some things. I heard from Tim, for instance, commercial cooperation or ambassadors. I heard from Xenia also money and people, to put it out there. Is there, maybe to wrap up this session, from the three of you, anything where we or the audience today can support your growth and more impact?
Yeah, I can start if you want. So for me, the most important is to just start, you know, like, because sometimes I think it's a huge step and people don't really want to make a step forward sustainability because they say, okay, if we do this, but we are not able to do that already, then like people will not like it. But I think like if any company just makes the first step, or any person, then that's the most important part. And I think this is, I like one story. The biggest sale of the Mantahari history so far was because a working student in a big company had the job to organize Christmas gifts for the whole company. And she had this amazing idea to say, okay, we're not going to give a 25 euro Amazon coupon for everyone, but a 25 euro Mantahari bottle for everyone. And that times 1,000 people. You know, and that's just like if one person just has this idea, or say, okay, like my role right now is I have the power to organize the gifts, and how can I make an impact out of it? And then from this sale, more than $10,000 went straight to Indonesia. You know, and sometimes it's just a small step or a small idea, and I can just encourage everyone to, be brave to do that, because sometimes just a small, thing has a really big impact.
Thank you very much. And I know, Maya, you need to hop on the next call. So if you just have one item where we can support.
Yeah, first of all, I totally agree with Tim. Support, maybe because I talk a lot about fishing nets, and that's our main core. Maybe just what's helpful for us, like just the word of mouth, because we see fish in the supermarket every day, and that's also why our oceans are overfished, and that's also why we have so much ghost nets. Just to think about the whole fishing industry. I don't want to say that everybody there out there is bad, but to just think about your own consumption. Maybe you don't have to eat fish every day. Maybe it's a special, in Germany we say Sonntagsbraten. Maybe you just eat it one time a day, because every little step regarding their own consumption makes a difference at the end.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we end the call, Xenia as well, I heard from Tim, commercial support, from Maya, word of mouth, and also self-reflection.
Yeah, I just want to say, just watch out to real seals, to reliable seals. Don't believe in every greenwashing, and really ask the producers if their claims are real. And the most of them cannot answer it for you, so you can see that's not the right thing. So we really also have to fight the greenwashing. That's a big point for us.
Yeah, that's a program for a webinar in itself. And as earlier you had already mentioned, I think one can also support what you do with regard to financing, and maybe some motivated team, co-team coming up. That's it from my side. We ran a little bit over time. I'm sorry for the technical issues we had at the beginning. I hope that we could make up for it during the webinar, that everyone had enough information as well as the possibility to connect. We'd be really happy, as said before, to connect afterwards. Don't hesitate to reach out. Everyone is going to be, I think, really, really happy to connect and to move forward the green agenda together. So thanks a lot again from my side. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, and have a great day.